In the peaceful suburbs of Willowbrook, I thought our life was perfect. Emily and I had been married for over a decade. We had 2 beautiful children, and we lived in a house that everyone envied. From the outside, everything seemed flawless. But over time, I began to feel that something was changing inside me. Sometimes people can sense that something is wrong without fully understanding what is missing. That's exactly what I was feeling. Recently, I started noticing changes in Emily's behavior towards me. It was the first sign of the growing unease inside me. Before diving into my story, if you don't want your life to be turned upside down like mine, subscribe to my channel to learn real lessons from the real stories we share every day. Just like mine. Also, share your thoughts about the shocking truths I've experienced in the comments. Please show your support by liking my video. Now that you've subscribed, let's dive into my story. Emily had begun coming home late from work, meetings she would say, new responsibilities. But when she returned home, it was as if she was still in those meetings, distant from us. Her eyes would stare blankly, as though she was physically present but mentally far away. She seemed lost in her thoughts, unable to fully focus on me or the children. At night, she would spend long hours on her phone, sometimes laughing mockingly. When I asked, "What's so funny?" she would simply reply, "Nothing. Just something amusing I saw." But I wasn't convinced. The unease inside me slowly turned into suspicion. At that moment, I began to feel a void inside, as if everything in my life was slipping out of control. I tried to talk to Emily, but it was as if she had built a wall between us. Interest, her love, the strong bond we once shared, all seemed to have faded away one by one. One evening, I couldn't take it anymore and decided to check Emily's phone. Even making that decision hurt me deeply. We had always trusted each other, hadn't we? My heart was pounding as if I was on the brink of a disaster. When I unlocked her phone, what I saw shattered my world. Mark. Who was this man? How had he become a part of Emily's life? And the real question was, how long had she been with him? As I read through the messages, something inside me broke. Flirtatious expressions, explicit conversations. These messages proved that they had been secretly meeting for months. Messages like, "I can't wait to see you this weekend," made my entire world collapse, opening a gaping hole in my heart. Betrayal, when it comes from someone close to you, can be painful enough to kill. But in the depths of this pain, I felt a slow but growing desire for revenge. Confronting Emily wouldn't give me the satisfaction I needed. Now, that wasn't enough. I wanted her to feel the same pain, humiliation, and shame that I was feeling. The following days were the darkest of my life. I began monitoring her every move, tracking her every step. I found out where she was going and who she was meeting. I took screenshots of the messages on her phone and found Mark's address. Anger inside me was the only thing keeping me alive. I was determined to make Emily and Mark pay for this betrayal. One night, I told Emily that I needed to go on a business trip for the weekend. It was impossible not to notice the relief in her eyes. "When will you be back?" she asked. "Sunday evening," I replied coldly. I had to turn away to avoid seeing the relief on her face. But I didn't go to the airport. Instead, I parked my car a few blocks away and returned home under the cover of darkness. I sneaked into the house. I went down to the basement, the place where they had their secret meetings. I set up a hidden camera there, making sure it would capture everything clearly. My anger forced me to be patient. I waited. Hours passed, and finally, I heard Emily and Mark open the door. Their laughter stabbed me like a knife. I gripped the baseball bat tightly, trying to control my breathing as I waited. When they went down to the basement, they were completely unaware that they had walked right into my trap. I waited a little longer until they were close enough. When the moment came, I stepped out from my hiding place and stood before them. The horror in Emily's eyes when she saw me caused all the anger inside me to reach a breaking point. Mark tried to stand up, but I was faster. I lifted the baseball bat and brought it down on his leg with all my strength. His screams mixed with Emily's cries, but I was only focused on Mark. I asked him everything. How long? Where? When? and with every hesitant answer, I swung the bat again. I wanted him to feel the full weight of his betrayal. Emily was pleading in pain. "Please stop, Jack. It was a mistake. Won't happen again." But I ignored her. Please, I wanted them to feel the same pain I was feeling. While Mark lay on the ground, a broken mess, I turned to Emily. Tears were streaming down her face, but along with my love for her, I had lost all my mercy as well. "Look at what you've turned me into, Emily," I said. "You've destroyed me, but I'm going to show you the same mercy you showed me." Emily raised her hands helplessly, her eyes filled with despair. "Jack, please don't do this." "I can explain everything," she said. But this time, I had no intention of listening. "Explain? After sneaking behind my back for months, now you want to explain?" Emily trembled as she stepped back. "It was a mistake. I don't know how it happened, Jack, but I love you, I swear." Her voice was choked with sobs, but I was completely numb to her dramatic display. "Love?" I sneered. "Is this what love is, Emily? Was this all your love for me?" I pulled out my phone and showed her the footage I had recorded with the hidden camera. I had captured everything, their betrayal, their infidelity. Emily's face turned pale. "You can't do this," she said, her voice shaking. "Please, we have children. What will people say?" But I responded to her desperation with a mocking smile. "I'm going to show this to everyone. Family, friends, colleagues, the whole world." Emily covered her face with her hands and began to cry, and for me it was a satisfying sight. At that moment, I felt nothing for her. She had betrayed me, destroyed my life, and now she was going to pay the price. Emily cried, begged between sobs, but I knew there was no going back. Mark was writhing on the floor, groaning in pain, but I didn't care. Emily's voice became a whisper. "Jack, please, for the kids, forgive me." But at that moment, the only thing I felt for her was deep hatred and a desire for revenge. "The kids? You had thought about them. You wouldn't have done this to me, Emily." That night, I left the basement, leaving behind the wreckage of their lives. Emily would have to tend to Mark's wounds and face the consequences of their betrayal. I walked through the dark streets with my head held high. There was a kind of dark satisfaction inside me, but I knew it wasn't completely over. A difficult road lay ahead, but I had to walk it alone. The scandal of Emily and Mark's affair spread everywhere in our neighborhood. Their betrayal was on everyone's lips, but I knew I had to stay strong for my children. In the quiet streets of Willowbrook, this story would be whispered for years to come, but I would continue to walk with my head held high. I had taken control of my destiny and secured the justice I needed. The wounds inside me might not heal over time, but at least I had won the battle against Emily's betrayal. This story was mine, and it would always remind me, no one escapes the price of betrayal. But this story didn't end there. As I left the basement, the dark scene I left behind weighed heavily on my soul. The echoing silence in the house slowed my steps. With each step, I was confronted with the betrayal of the woman I once loved. The anger and hatred inside me didn't subside for a moment. I closed the door quietly, but the storm within me did not calm. As I walked through the quiet streets of Willowbrook, I thought about the past and the future. How could I ever forget this betrayal? Everything has a price, and the price Emily paid left a deep wound in my heart. But life goes on, and I had to learn to live with these wounds. This story was not an end for me, but a new beginning. And every day, as I remember this betrayal, I would feel the bitter satisfaction of my revenge.